Unfortunately, sometimes children and families, their world is filled with darkness, and sometimes they need help finding that light.
I was crying, I was out of my mind. I knew this little boy just was doing things and experiencing things that were well beyond what he should have to endure.
That confidence and that spark that she used to have was just gone. She was sad, she was fearful. She couldn't sleep alone.
Something bad happened to me.
There's something that makes him not like other children. There were some really expressive behavioral issues at school.
Life before Washburn was not safe. Not safe for myself, not safe for my children. I was often ready to kill myself and take my children with me.
Mental health issues or developmental concerns, social, emotional things affect kids and families from, whether you're living in the city or the suburbs, all income levels, all cultural groups.
It's estimated there are about 70,000 children in Minnesota who have a serious emotional behavior problem, and only about 20% of those are getting the help that they need.
We don't get confused about children's physical health. So if they have a fever or if they have an illness, we have no trouble saying what can we do to help. But sometimes mental health gets neglected.
The consequences of not treating children's mental health problems are really, they get worse.
And they're not going to go away as time goes by. That's the thing with mental health that's really hard, is that mental illness doesn't go away.
When kids don't get this kind of help early, they can have major problems in school, sometimes get kicked out of school.
They're the children that drop out of school. They're children that get involved in our juvenile justice system. About 70% of the children that are incarcerated in our juvenile justice system have mental health problems.
And they also then give up hope. And that's one of the biggest issues in children's mental health, is we want children to feel that not just their families, but all of us care about them.
I think that is probably our biggest responsibility at Washburn, is giving people hope that things can change. I think we're that light of hope for families.
Washburn Center for Children has been around for a long time. It was started in 1883 with a bequest from Cadwallader Washburn, the founder of the General Mills.
There was an explosion at one of the main mills, an explosion that killed a number of mill workers. When Cadwallader Washburn died, he left a bequest to establish the original Washburn orphanage because there was a number of kids who lost their parents in that mill accident.
As time went on, Washburn continued to focus on our highest risk children, and as the needs of the community have changed and as children have changed, Washburn has changed to meet that need. In the 1950s, we made the decision to focus on mental health, and today we've evolved to be the leading children's mental health resource in the state of Minnesota.
Washburn is a nonprofit mental health center for children.
It provides community mental health.
Anyone who needs help will take you. We will help. We will figure it out for you.
A lot of times parents will just call up our main number and they'll say, I don't know what's going on, but something's wrong with my child. I'm worried about them, and my neighbor or my pediatrician told me to call Washburn and you'd help me figure out what's going on.
At Washburn, we first came here in kind of a crisis situation because we were at a place where we could not help Isaiah any more than we could possibly do for ourselves right there at that point.
Well, thanks to Washburn, I know there's a place to get an answer, at least help finding that answer.
When I first walked into Washburn, I felt a sigh of relief.
families come here, but we also go out to places where children are, such as schools. We understand children, we understand development, and we understand how best we can deliver the kind of supplemental help that families and communities need.
When an institution doesn't have a way of explaining behavior, there's a lot of room for misunderstanding. There's a lot of opportunity to misunderstand what is really going on with the child and to conclude that the child is just a problem. The partnership with Washburn allows us all to better understand how best to reach a child who has a right to a future.
Washburn is also a very valuable training center in our community.
We train 50 to 60 graduate and undergraduate students each year.
Some of what we want to be able to do is provide outstanding training for the clinicians that work here, but also to make sure that we're providing the best possible services that we can.
So Washburn has been and hopefully will continue to expand quantity of services as well as the quality of those services.
I'm so thankful that Washburn could spend the time with my son in his environment and then tell us what we needed to do to get him the help that he needs.
I saw so many changes in my children after coming to Washburn. I saw smiles. I saw smiles.
He has one chance at being a child. And that one chance at being a child, we have to try to make just as positive and as helpful and as good for him as possible. So the change is now we know what's good for Isaiah, don't we?
Thanks to Washburn, families are getting the help that they need. I think that families are able to see the hope, they're able to see the light.
If you can identify and treat children's mental health issues early, it really can make a difference in a child's life, in the child's family, and in the long term it saves the community hundreds of thousands of dollars that might get spent on deep end services.
If we don't get a community model of mental health that says we are all invested in all the children, we end up paying over time because our lives are depleted too.
I think that's really Washburn's goal, that's Washburn's future, is needing that community to come together and support us and help us grow so that we can help our families to help our communities.